Love that. Super excited about rate cuts.
Yes.
Quote. As the market rallies on the back of those Powell comments, investors are now looking for the next big market catalyst. Could that be Nvidia results? Out of earnings next week, reports saying that Nvidia asked suppliers to halt production of its made-for-China chip. Kristina Partsinevelos has the latest in today's Tech Check on just what's expected, Kristina, and how much China factors in.
China still factors in. I'll get to that percentage. You talked about the halting production. It's specifically the H20 chips designed for China. And this is after Chinese regulators really discouraged local firms from buying them. And this is according to the information. There was more from Reuters. 700,000 chips are now supposedly sitting idle at packaging plants. And that comes just weeks after President Trump reversed his own ban on these exact same AI chips. Nvidia's China revenue, to your point, Sarah, has already fallen from 26% to 13% of total revenues in just 3 years. But while Wall Street sees this as a China problem for Nvidia, it's actually accelerating China's move away from Nvidia and all American suppliers. Chinese companies, for example, now hold 16 of the top 20 spots in open source AI rankings, 80%. According to Artificial Analysis. The U.S. just has 3 in the open source models, and they're building these models to run on Chinese hardware. Take DeepSeek's delayed R2 model. Markets saw the Huawei chip issues as bullish for Nvidia because it couldn't work on Huawei. But sources tell me that's the wrong read. DeepSeek had to train R2 on Nvidia chips because Huawei's software issues, but they're still planning to run the finished model on Huawei chips. The key insight, training happens periodically, but inference happens millions of times. And if developers build apps on these Chinese AI models, they'll be running on Chinese hardware, and that's what worries Nvidia. It's not just DeepSeek. Tech giant Baidu built its Ernie model specifically for Huawei chips. Z.ai is doing the same. China is systematically building out an AI ecosystem that doesn't need Nvidia. So while Nvidia gets squeezed between Washington's restrictions and Beijing's security concerns, China is solving its chip dependency problem. Nvidia's earnings next week will show the near-term impact, but the real threat is China building an entire AI ecosystem that doesn't need Nvidia at all. Guys?
So what a week for your beat on semis. The other thing we didn't get to, it kind of got lost today in all the Powell news, was this report about TSM considering returning some government subsidies if the government were to ask for an Intel-like equity stake. I thought that was an interesting wrinkle as we continue to watch sort of that changing, that evolving picture of government involvement in the space.
Yeah, that's because TSMC is the largest chip contractor in the world. Do they really need a government handout? They are building in America, especially in Arizona. They did get a lot of funding, but of course, just a few weeks ago when all of this started, this is according to sources in the report, that they did indeed have conversations about giving it back. But President Trump said just within the last 24 hours that he doesn't plan to take equity stakes in Micron and TSMC. And it kind of makes sense. Both of those companies are doing quite well and don't need as much help like Intel did.
Right, and not as reliant on the funding. Kristina, thanks so much, KP, watching Nvidia and Intel and TSM for us.